Oh, and welcome back to Manning Up. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about how men are portrayed in the media. Obviously, a lot of how we view men comes from what we see TV, movies. Kind of gives us an idea as men of what we're supposed to be like, and an idea of like what to strive for and look for and achieve. But obviously, a lot of these are very biased opinions and can aren't necessarily an accurate portrayal of what we should be for sure, and often not an accurate portrayal even what the typical man is like. So you kind of see a few pretty common stereotypes that keep popping up throughout wherever you look. Many of them not very positive, and a lot of them can be very damaging and can kind of repeat a cycle of where men see a certain image of what they're expected to be and begin to portray that, which then feeds back into the continuing kind of negative cycle of men never living up to their potential as they continue to see negative versions of themselves in the media and then begin to behave like that, which then only feeds those negative versions and continues a very dangerous cycle. So a few of the more common stereotypes we see would be someone like the lovable oaf. When you think of characters kind of like Homer Simpson's on TV, like, it's one of the more positive, I guess, versions of it. A man that you're going to see commonly portrayed, but still it's not a very positive portrayal. At the very least, he's kind and does care about his family and normally tries to do what he can to help them. But he has obviously had some very large shortfalls as a character, portrayed as being not very intelligent, kind of a bumbling idiot, even if he's a lovable idiot, and not a very real. Realistic thing for a man to just strive for, or at least not a positive thing for a man to strive for. See people like kind of the arrogant jerk. The kind of a more popular version would be like, if you ever watch Big Bang Theory, you see like the Will Wheaton character, where he's kind of portrayed as being arrogant, hard to get along with. He kind of thinks he's better than everybody. You see more of the arrogant hero. I think like Tony Stark or Iron Man in the Marvel movies, where he's doing the right thing, but he's not being very nice about it. Tends to look down on the people around him, even if he ultimately does the right thing. You think like the womanizer is obviously a very common one. One of the more obvious portrayals of this would be like if you watch How I Met Your Mother, you see Barney as he's kind of just treats women as a conquest, doesn't treat them as people, just kind of tries to uses them more as something to conquer as opposed to treating them like actual human beings. Obviously still not something that you want to strive for. You see some of the characterizations like the timid husband who has like a domineering wife where he just kind of does whatever she wants to kind of get along and doesn't necessarily stand up for himself or really assert himself in like the role that he needs to be in his family. More commonly, if you're thinking of like a portrayal that to kind of get an idea, would be you ever watch 2.5 Men, like the Allen character, where even if he's not necessarily married anymore, he still plays that same role with his ex-wife, and obviously not something we'd want to strive for. And then there's the open misogynists are probably less common in media today because of how society has rightly approached misogyny in the last little while, since this kind of seen a rise in feminism, and that kind of approach to women is not acceptable anymore, and it's normally going to be reserved for the more villainous characters. So if you think like The Handmaid's Tale, pretty much any male character in the show would fit into that category. You think like the action hero, like James Bond, that kind of character, where they're out saving the world, but often see a little bit of the womanizing, or a lot of the womanizing, mixed in with that character as well, and kind of continues that kind of idea that real men don't share their feelings. They just kind of go save the world and don't necessarily ever share anything with anybody or open up with anyone, just save the world and then move on to the next escapade without any real considering of any consequences or anything of their actions. And you see some some of the, like the man child, where you see a grown adult still unable to live on his own or like have any sort of life of his own, like away from their parents. You think of Buster Bluth, and if you watch Arrested Development, where he's still living with his mother and can't really survive without her. And it kind of sets the bar for men at an all-time low. Like, it's incredibly self-destructive to portray that as a normal characterization for men, that, you know, still living within your parent shadow as when you're a grown adult. Like, you know, obviously, if yes, there could be times where it needs to be financially, could be like a reality, but doesn't, like the way that they're portrayed as still being a child within their parents' home, even though they're a grown adult, is never a positive trait to have. So it becomes very clear with, you know, all the different ways that men are portrayed in television and movies, that there's not a lot of room for the positive portrayals that would actually encourage men to have something strong to live up to. That there's very few actual, like, strong, like, caring, real good men that you'd want to actually kind of emulate and to live up to that standard. That there's, you know, obviously every man is flawed, but the way that most men are portrayed in the media is more accentuates those flaws, or like over exaggerates those flaws, instead of portraying like having a realistic portrayal of a man who's trying their best, but, you know, obviously is still going to make mistakes and still have issues. But that's really the view that we would see within the media. So it's just an encouragement for all you, like, don't let that be your standard. Don't let what you're seeing on TV or seeing in movies be the standard of what you're living up to. Like, recognize that we're our own people, and that we need to begin to set the bar for what we expect from a man to be higher. That we can't just let the low standards that we see in like TVs or movies or wherever you may be looking, that can't be the standard that we strive for. That we are capable of much more as men, and that we need to begin to live up to that standard. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you again in a little bit. Hey, thanks for checking out the Manning Up YouTube channel. If you want to engage with us more, you can check out our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter accounts. Links are going to be in the comments below. If you want to find ways to financially support what we're doing and equipping men to become the best men they can be, you can check out our page on Patreon for ways to support us through that. Thanks, guys, and see you next time.